Hey everyone, Nigel and Luke here, and welcome to Crime Zone. Before we get to today's video, we wanted to announce that Crime Zone's official Patreon page is now live. In addition to ad-free videos and other extras, patrons will also get access to weekly bonus videos for our Crimes of the Week and Crimes of the Week International series. So if you want even more Crime Zone content, head over to patreon.com/crimezone for exclusive cases not featured in today's video.
A Houston firefighter EMT is being called a hero this week after she helped to defuse a terrifying carjacking situation aboard an ambulance. The incident began after 2:30 a.m. on Friday when a 16-year-old girl was hit by a car as she crossed the street in the neighborhood of St. George Place. Emergency service workers quickly responded to the scene, and the girl was loaded onto a Houston Fire Department ambulance that soon headed toward the hospital. Though the trip began as normal, it was interrupted just minutes later when a man cut off the ambulance with his car and began to fire shots at it, forcing it to pull over. The suspect then forced the driver of the ambulance to get out and took control himself, driving onto the highway with the second EMT and the patient still in the back. The EMT noticed that something was wrong when the ambulance began to travel in the wrong direction and looked into the front to find the suspect now behind the wheel. During the tense situation, she reportedly remained calm the entire time, negotiating and talking to the suspect as he also spoke with emergency service dispatchers. Houston police were able to track the vehicle using GPS and thankfully within an hour managed to force the suspect to pull over. The EMT and the 16-year-old were released without any additional violence, and the patient was able to be taken to another hospital where she is said to be recovering. The suspect, who has since been identified as 43-year-old Brandon Warren, was arrested at the scene. He now faces charges including aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, aggravated kidnapping, aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon, and felony evading arrest. Though Warren is now in police custody, authorities were quick to point out that the case is not over, as they are still searching for the person who initially hit the 16-year-old and fled the scene. Anyone with additional information is encouraged to contact Houston police.
A 20-year-old man was sentenced to 5 years in prison this week following his conviction in the so-called swatting death of a fellow Tennessee resident. The incident started after a 60-year-old man named Mark Herring began to be inundated with requests to hand over his valuable Twitter account handle in early 2020 by a then 18-year-old man named Shane Sonderman. Herring was the owner of the handle @Tennessee, a much sought-after name that he registered on the social media platform early in the days of its existence. According to Herring's family, he was very proud of having the account and often spoke about how people had offered him money to turn it over. He reportedly refused Sonderman's offer just as he had done with all previous requests. However, it turned out that Sonderman was not willing to take no for an answer. Following the refusal in March of last year, he posted the personal information of Herring and his family online, after which he and several other people began to harass and threaten them. The harassment campaign continued for weeks and included Sonderman and his trolls sending numerous text messages to Herring, as well as unwanted pizza deliveries to his home and the homes of his family members. Then in April, things escalated even further. It began when an unidentified minor from the UK called the police where Herring lived in Sumner County, Tennessee, using the information that Sonderman had provided. The person told police that a woman had been shot and killed on Herring's property, and that he would detonate pipe bombs if police tried to enter his house. For those unfamiliar with the term, this is known as swatting, calling in a fake incident of violence to authorities as a prank in the hopes that it will generate a heavy police response. In Herring's case, this is exactly what happened, and authorities had soon surrounded his home. Confused and terrified, he came outside when police arrived and was told to follow a series of instructions that included crawling under his fence. At some point during the tense interaction, Herring collapsed after suffering a heart attack, dying in the hospital shortly thereafter. A trail of electronic evidence revealed that Herring had been the victim of a harassment campaign that began with Sonderman. At his sentencing hearing on Wednesday, Sonderman was sentenced to 5 years in prison for his role in the crime, after pleading guilty to 1 count of extortion by threat of serious injury or damage. According to reports, this was not the first time he had engaged in such behavior online. He even continued to do so while briefly out on bond during the case. The sentence Sonderman received was reportedly the maximum allowable under the law. The judge in the case said that he would have imposed a harsher punishment if allowed.
Authorities in Ventura County, California say that a 44-year-old man is in custody this week after he allegedly fired shots at a firefighting helicopter. The incident began just after 9 p.m. on Wednesday night when the helicopter was conducting training exercises near Lake Casitas, roughly 80 miles northwest of Los Angeles. That's when crew members aboard the vehicle reportedly noticed a man named Joshua Chimarusti firing at them with a handgun from the ground below. Thanks to the quick actions of the helicopter's pilot, neither the crew members nor the vehicle were struck by bullets during the shooting. They were able to follow Chimarusti as he allegedly drove away in his car before stopping to fire more shots and taking off on foot. Authorities were able to track down Chimarusti after an hours-long search involving police dogs and another helicopter. He was taken into custody early on Thursday morning on suspicion of attempted murder as well as numerous firearms-related offenses. At the time of this recording, police have not indicated what prompted the bizarre and dangerous attack.
Authorities in Chicago say that 8 people have been left wounded this week following a drive-by shooting targeting a party bus in the neighborhood of Lincoln Park. The incident unfolded just before midnight on Wednesday, when a group of people had been traveling on the bus in the 1600 block of North LaSalle Drive. That's when 2 Jeep Grand Cherokees pulled up to the group and unknown suspects inside began to fire at them. It is unclear whether the group was aboard the bus or standing outside when the shooting began. Though the names of the victims have not been released at the time of this recording, according to reports, their ages ranged from 23 to 52. Many appear to have sustained non-life-threatening injuries, though at least a couple are said to be in critical condition. It is unclear what motivated the shooting, and police say that they are still searching for suspects. So far, no one has been arrested in connection with the crime. The shooting reportedly took place within just hours of 2 other such attacks in the city. A 14-year-old was shot and killed in the first incident, while a 16-year-old shot in the second incident is fighting for his life. At least 7 others were also wounded between the 2 shootings. Just like in the incident with the party bus, at the time of this recording, police reportedly have yet to make any arrests in connection with the 2 other attacks.
Authorities in Maryland's Prince George's County say that 1 person is dead and 4 others are wounded this week following a shooting outside of a condo complex in Adelphi. According to reports, police were called to the scene in the 1800 block of Metzerat Road shortly after midnight on Wednesday morning. A witness heard what she thought were fireworks before realizing that several people had just been shot. When police arrived, they found 5 men suffering from gunshot wounds. The men were standing outside when they were approached by 2 gunmen. After words were exchanged between the 2 groups, the shots were fired. While 4 of the 5 men appear to have sustained non-life-threatening injuries, the 5th victim was pronounced dead at the scene. He has since been identified as Juan Maldonado and was reportedly killed just after his 21st birthday. At the time of this recording, police have not released the identities of the 2 shooters, but say that they do not believe the community is in any immediate danger. They say that the crime was likely targeted and that the victims and assailants knew each other. A $25,000 reward is being offered in connection with the case.
This week, representatives from Oklahoma's Pottawatomie County Sheriff's Office announced that a woman had been charged with murder after she ran over her husband with an ATV following a heated argument. The incident began when 35-year-old Chanel Lewis, her husband Christopher, and Christopher's 2 children from a previous marriage were at a campground in the town of Gwinnett. At some point, Chanel and Christopher began to argue about food, a feud that soon escalated into Christopher saying that he wanted a divorce. According to Christopher's son Christian, the statement was too much for Chanel to handle, and she promptly said that she was going to run his father over and kill him. She reportedly made good on that promise just moments later, when she hopped onto an ATV and gunned it towards Christopher, killing him. Not content with killing just 1 person, it was at that point that Chanel allegedly tried to turn the vehicle on Christian and his teenage sister. However, Christian told police that he managed to punch his stepmother in the face, incapacitating her before she could injure them. When police arrived at the scene, Chanel was quickly taken into custody. Though she was originally charged with manslaughter, that charge was upgraded to second-degree murder on Wednesday, as additional evidence indicating Chanel's intent was uncovered.
Authorities in El Paso, Texas say that a man has been arrested this week after he allegedly burned down his family home with his mother and brother inside. The incident took place on Thursday night at approximately 11:30 p.m. when police say that 40-year-old Philip Daniel Mills intentionally set the house ablaze in the neighborhood of Sunland Park North. Tragically, Mills' 54-year-old brother Paul was killed in the fire, and his 82-year-old mother suffered severe burns and smoke inhalation. Mills was arrested on Friday after fleeing the scene of the crime. During questioning, he admitted to starting the fire and shared the bizarre reason why he reportedly carried out the heinous act. His family members were not following the Bible. Mills told investigators that he was trying to purge the home of evil and that he had started the fire by igniting gasoline he had taken from a weed whacker and poured onto the couch. He had allegedly waited outside with large rocks in his hands in case his brother or mother managed to escape. Disturbingly, he reportedly laughed about the crime during the questioning, calling it a failed attempt. Mills has now been charged with capital murder and arson.
Authorities in Fairfax County, Virginia, say that a 25-year-old man has been charged with the murder of his elderly landlady this week, almost 2 months after she went missing. According to reports, 72-year-old Emily Liu was last seen alive on the evening of June 3rd, when she was captured on surveillance video shopping at an Aldi grocery store in Woodbridge. She was reported missing the next day after she failed to turn up for work at a senior care facility. Due to the fact that Liu's car remained in the driveway of her home in Lorton, police suspected foul play in the case, and soon turned their attention to a man named Brian Sayers, who had been renting a room in the home at the time of Liu's disappearance. After weeks of investigation and desperate searches for Liu, Sayers finally told investigators where her body could be found on Friday. Sadly, her remains were recovered from a wooded area near a traffic circle not too far from her house. Sayers has now been charged with second-degree murder and felony concealment of a body in connection with the case. Though police said that they believe that Liu was likely killed on the day that she was reported missing, they have not commented on the nature of the killing or whether they have been able to obtain a murder weapon. It remains unclear what circumstances led to the brutal crime. That's it for this edition of Crimes of the Week. If you enjoyed our video, don't forget to like and subscribe to Crime Zone for more true crime content like this, making sure to hit the notification bell to stay up to date with our latest releases. Thank you for watching.